Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm host Fat Jack. This is your hour if you're going to be betting on sports this year because it is week 0 of college football. This will be the most important hour of your day if you're going to be betting the games. So I can obviously not do this alone. Let me bring in my co-host real quick. We'll get this thing underway, get you into week 0, get you onto some things that will help make you some money this weekend and much, much more. From Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. Brandon Rush. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
Not happy that we kick off the season in another country, but that's a story for another issue for another day. The news of the day, the news of the week, the big important thing, college football is back, even though it is a limited slate. But saying those words makes me feel very whole.
Yeah, there are we could do hours and hours on the things wrong with college football.
And there are many.
Starting the season overseas is certainly something few people like, some people don't. They're trying to expand the game, blah, blah, blah. What game it is and who gets to play it and all those type things are obviously for another day, another show. The problem is, Brandon, if we had started this in July, we could spend a whole hour on those type of things, the things going on in college football. But you're right. We are here. There is football. There's actual real football. Although to this point, I'm not sure my clients, we've needed real football. We're just building profit. I always talk about this. If you're betting for profit, for money, or you're betting for fun, you have to decide that. And if you're betting for money and not for fun, or your primary goal is money, which it is for us, I mean, what you're making money on really doesn't matter. So from that point, we have had a great start to August. I'm excited about college football because there's a lot more money to be made. Of course, the NFL around the corner. But the start to our football season, quote unquote, has been great. So FatJackSports.com, if you want to make some money this weekend or all year long, that's the place to go. There's so much noise out there in the world of handicapping and of picking winners and how you could win and what you need to do. So much noise. Guys, I've been doing this for 30 years, and there's no two ways about it. There are about 7 people that I know, that I've met or that I know over those 30 years that will consistently make you money. That is it. Everybody else, guessing on your own, turning on ESPN and watching Game Day, all of the other techniques that people are using and going to use to try to build profit, they simply do not work. It's like going to the fair, walking to the Midway, and actually trying to make money betting on the fair games. They look easy. Seems like something you could do. The ring toss looks like no problem. The softball into the little basket seems like an easy one. It is so much more difficult, as most people learn the hard way when you go to the fair. Sports gambling is very similar. Looks easy, looks like something that everybody could do. So you played high school football, you watch your kids play, you watch a lot of football, you listen to sports talk radio. That does not get it done. If you want to make money, it takes so much more, a different level of handicapping, a different level of insight, a different level of what you're looking at. And I can help you do that. Go to FatJackSports.com. $69 this weekend. All of the football through Monday, made it real simple for week 0. $69. And that includes the NFL preseason. That has done nothing but make money so far this year. Heading into this weekend, they're turning a really nice profit. Add the soccer now. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say that, Brandon. When we have a bad week in soccer, I will say that. But guys that listened last week or listened the week before and thought about it, and we had people reach out and say, how much is it to add soccer? What do I do with soccer? My daughter on soccer. I don't care about soccer. My daughter's on the blue team. I don't want to bet on it. I get all that. It doesn't freaking matter. The soccer results are posted. Look at them. Made almost 5 games of profit in one weekend. We had a tie on Sunday at 2.5, almost 3-1. Every straight bet we placed, other than the quote-unquote ties, we have ties that we'll bet sometimes to bet half on, because ties are very difficult. They're that third element. Every single game, we won, Brandon. We won every soccer game that we bet.
It was a really fun weekend of the Premier League games, and granted that plus 280, depending on where you got the line, draw on Sunday came late. I'll take it. I'll take good luck early in the year. I'm very happy with that. But yeah, you're right. Everything that we touched last week won. UFC turned a profit last week, so it's a great time to get in. Just know that if you're not in already, you've already missed out on one solid week of profit. Can't get that back for you, but we can get you on the right track for the next 20 weeks of football.
Yeah, 2 weeks. We were 6-1 in the NFL preseason and week 1 of the NFL preseason. So you're missing profit. The train is leaving the station. And if you're going to Las Vegas or going to Kansas City or Chicago, wherever, to bet on sports for the weekend, obviously you don't need the picks all year long. Go to fatjacksports.com, get the weekend package. This week's $69. Normally that same exact week's going to cost $199. So you're saving a lot of money because it's week 0. You're still getting the same exact picks everybody's getting. But if you are going to be betting consistently throughout the year, you need to get picks that are consistently going to build profit for you throughout the year. And I don't want to bet the preseason. Who cares? I don't want to bet soccer. Why does it matter what you're betting on? Don't watch. The soccer for a lot of people is up before it's over before you even get up. What was it? Saturday, the game started like 4 a.m.
Yeah, if you're on the West Coast, you're in Pacific or Mountain Time Zone. Those early kicks in England are a bit rough to wake up for to watch. So
it's not rough.
If you sleep and wake up and then you see your bankroll
4-0.
Yeah.
It's Aston Villa. We had Aston Villa start at, I think it's Aston Villa. Somebody. It doesn't matter. I forget. Like I said, I've said this before. I should say it again. I don't handicap the soccer. I have experts that handicap the soccer. So I don't even, like I say, I pay enough attention to know my balance either goes up or down. Most of the time it's going up. I'm trying to look and see who it was that we had on last Saturday. Started at 4 o'clock in the morning. They were at 4-0. It was
Brighton that beat Aston Villa 4-0.
Right. Exactly. It was 4-0. I woke up, I don't know, 7 o'clock, 6:30 or whatever. It's 4-0. Money in the bank. Balance already went up. You're making money while you're sleeping. Add the soccer. It's $40 a week. It's $40 a week to make extra money this football season. On that note, if you haven't already added the NFL players props, now's the time. These prices are only going to go up. It's only going to cost you more profit. The NFL players props made money 4 out of every 5 weeks last year. They ended the season on an 18-3 run in the Super Bowl. These things are very profitable. If you're on Prize Picks or you're going to be betting on any of these apps to where you're going to be playing players props, now is the time to go get that. FatJackSports.com. Sign up today and win this weekend. All right, enough of that. That way I don't have to feel guilty when we have another great week. Guys out there and say, I'm going to go bet on my own. I don't need Jack. I'm going to do this myself.
Can't say we didn't tell you.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, it's more desperate now than it will be in 3 weeks, and it's more desperate now than it was a month ago, because it is important. It's here. You're going to make a decision one way or the other, and the question is, are you going to go down and then sign up after and have to play catch-up, or are you going to get into profit with the rest of us? We had another big week. Everybody's winning that's signed up. You want to be that guy. All right, week 0, Brandon. Let's talk about last week real quick. Anything stand out besides the soccer and the profit? NFL preseason, you get anything out of that at all?
Not really. I wasn't surprised to see that after the week that he had, that Deshaun Watson was named the Browns starter. I don't expect that to last into, say, maybe Halloween, but I mean, when you're a organization that can't get out of their own way, why not just play the guy you're paying boatloads of money to?
If Deshaun Watson doesn't start in week 1 for Cleveland, then they are not the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
There's not a contest going on up there. Cleveland.
Someone should tell them, because it feels like they try to prove every week, every waking moment that they are the Cleveland Browns.
They do, and so that has to happen. Deshaun Watson has to start week 1 because they are the Cleveland Browns. If they weren't the Cleveland Browns, then I don't think it would even be a contest. They would be starting Shadir Sanders. But I love the let's burn down the entire building press conference that happened after the games with Watson too. He's making a lot of friends up there. I understand what he's saying, that it doesn't matter what he does, that he wants to. It's a little bit like cheating on your girlfriend and then being mad that she put too much salt in your dinner. For me, you made dinner. Oh, it's a little salty. Well, yeah, but you cheated on me. Well, no, I know, but the steak's a little bit salty.
That's that. This is this. You can't. No.
Yeah, you guys are upset and you're booing because I got hurt, but you cheated on you. I just think that if you're asking fans to segregate out things, you are looking at the wrong place for positive reinforcement.
I can separate art from artist. I don't know that I can separate player from behavior.
I just think if you're looking there for positive reinforcement, that is your problem. Why in the world would he be listening to what fans are doing? Does he think this is kumbaya? He's made enough enemies and done enough things with females, period, that he's not going to have a lot of women on his side. Now, if he starts winning games, which is a huge if, he looked horrible. He's not looked great in the preseason. He's making bad decisions, bad reads and stuff. But it'll calm down a little bit. But Cleveland is Cleveland, and thank goodness they are, because we're able to make money betting on Cleveland being Cleveland. Somebody else said to somebody else, the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins are the Miami Dolphins. They are horrible. They're the worst team in the league. I'm not ready to not put Tennessee down there also.
Yeah.
If you watch the games, you can get a little bit out of it. And you certainly can't read too much into the preseason. And I'm not as confident on where Tennessee is because I do think they have some skill players on offense that are going to be pretty good. But I'm not sure they can stop the run, having not just to do with what happened in week 2 of the preseason, but their defense looks a little bit like a sieve to me. And that is a huge problem, especially in that division. But offensively, they might score some points. I think they'll get a little bit better. But Tennessee's not very good. Arizona, I'm still think is better than the market's projecting. So I think there's a little upside there. I said that in the preseason, before all the preseason games. I've said that each week. So those are the only real things. The easiest, we should have bet all of our money last week on Washington, Detroit under the total. That was I have these trends that have made us money in the preseason and really have dialed in on which one of those are good and which ones aren't. And last week was 0-1 games versus 1-0 games where the 0-1 team's an underdog. I was Carolina, the Jets, New Orleans, and Seattle. Those did pretty good, right? Did it okay?
Every underdog covered last week in the preseason.
So those have been 4-0. So if you listen to this show, you went 4-0 just playing that stat. We did not, as you can tell if you're listening, did not just play that stat. So we did not go 4-0 in those 4 games. But that's a good place to start. If you're drilling down and looking for trends, there are certain trends that matter, some that don't in the preseason. And then we're going to move on to college football, obviously. But the one that I really liked and gave it as a free play, if you go follow us on social media at Fat Jack Sports, you got free plays. If you go to the website, ask for free play, you got a free play. It was under in the Washington-Detroit game. It went under easily, and that was based on Dan Quinn and Campbell both covering in week 1 of the preseason and us understanding that they were going to show absolutely nothing offensively in week 2. That was not going to allow points. Both of them are bad in the preseason against the spread over their career, and they both covered in week 1. So we knew that neither of them were going to show anything. Went under the total there. That was a winner. So preseason week 2 in the books, and now we have college football, and we're wrapping up the preseason. This week in the preseason, we'll talk tiny bit about it when we get back from the break, but it's basically 0-2 teams. They do really well against the spread in week 3. It makes some sense. You don't want to lose straight up twice and then come back and go 0-3, and now everybody's looking at you like, gosh, I hope that's really not who we are. So we'll be looking along those numbers when we get back from the break. Let's talk about college football, Brandon. We've got it this weekend. What jumps out, as you said, limited schedule, limited games, but a lot of opportunities to make money when you talk about preseason college football and UFC and soccer and all those things, and baseball, which also has been very, very good over the last week. We've got lots of opportunities, and people are getting that for $69. But what are we looking at? College football kind of jumps off the page at you.
I mean, we got a quadruple header of at least intriguing matchups. You start North Carolina, TCU, and Ireland, and then in the afternoon slate, NC State, Virginia, which somehow is not a conference game, is a fun matchup. Florida State in the nightcap, and then UNLV, Memphis in the West Coast game late. So I mean, you got 4 blocks of time to really kind of have a nice little appetizer to dip your toe into the weekend. Obviously, TCU Carolina for most people, even for the college football casuals, is going to be the game that's going to get a lot of focus, a lot of attention, because it is the first game of the year, and it is Belichick. It's nationally known brands, and we think we know what to expect. The general public, I should say, knows what to expect. There's going to be a lot of eyes on that game, and a lot of narratives are either going to be fed or die based on what happens in a 60-minute game across the pond.
So I think it's important that we look at some general stuff, because the things you can do in week 0 and frankly week 1 have shifted or changed a little bit since we've had NIL, since we've had the portal and all those things. Road favorites in week 0 and week 1, and this goes back 13 years or so, they cover at a 40% rate.
That's not good.
Not good. So if you're looking to lay points on the road, which makes some sense, right? These teams, it's the name on the front of the jerseys. That's what guys like to bet on. It's Texas because they're Texas. It's USC because they're USC. You don't really care other than that. But the reality is the team, when you're handicapped, the players are who's covering points or not covering points. So you're getting some value by betting home underdogs early in the year, week 0, week 1. You want to think home underdogs because the difference is smaller than the general public believes because they're betting the name on the front of the jersey. But the skill level right now early in the year is a lot closer. So 44.5% over the last 13 years, they're 45 66-1. Those are road favorites. Home or neutral field favorites, a little bit better, 53.4%. So if you don't have to go to their place, you don't have to stay in the visitor's locker room, everybody's having travel issues. So this would apply to obviously the game overseas and these early season, marquee games where you have neutral fields. Then the favorites are a little bit. There's a little bit more room. It'll break you even on the year, basically 53.4% over the last 10 years or so. Favorites, here's one that you can take advantage of, or that has been very valuable. Favorites of more than 38 points when you have an FBS team versus the FBS team. All right, so big against big, you're laying a bunch of points. The big favorites are on a 15-1 run against the spread. So teams like USC laying a bunch of points against San Jose this week. That would be the place to start there. They have to be big favorites, right? 37.5 is the official number. So for FBS versus FBS, 15-1 run against the spread. So that's the only one this week. So you'd start there if you were just looking at, those type of trends as big favorites. Power 4 non-conferences, the home teams are good. So if you play at Power 4 at non-conference home team and you're at home, 62.5% run, 25, 15, and 4 against the spread. So those are just a few. We'll go over some totals when we get back from the break. But it's important to kind of recalibrate in college football because the average guy, his number one thing is just go out, look at the names on the front of the jerseys, and bet. Maybe he had some success doing that in the bowl games or he had success late in the year. It's totally different. So you have to be able to adjust. That's good information to consider if you're going to be betting on your own. If you want to make money, though, don't bet on your own. Go to fatjacksports.com. I can help. Even if you want to start with some of your plays, add my plays with it. $69 this weekend through Monday. It's all college football, all NFL preseason, all free baseball, which has gotten hot here in the last week or so as well. Only $69. So get signed up for that. The better deal, if you're like, gosh, I love $69. That's awesome. It's less than that every single week when you sign up through the Super Bowl for football. That's what's so frustrating is really my word for it because guys get fired up about $69 special. But if they sign up for the year through the Super Bowl, they're going to get it's about that every week. And you're not going to see another $69 special unless you've turned it on Pornhub or you're going to be getting it twice a year maybe on this deal because we're going to give away these picks twice a year for $69 or so, maybe 3 times at the most. And every other week, you're going to pay more if you're going weekly, where you can go right now, get the season, and pay less or pay out the service fee. It's a little bit more if you do that, but pay it out over the next 4 months or so. Get all the plays, get the free plays, add soccer now, and consistently actually give yourself a chance to consistently make money betting on sports. FatJackSports.com gets you all of the games in college football this weekend, NFL preseason this weekend, free baseball this weekend. The bases, we've been playing some big money line favorites, Brandon. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, a couple. Rarely do we play parlays. I can count probably 12 in the last 20 whatever years that I've been doing the show with you here. But yeah, some money line parlays of big favorites in baseball. And yeah, I mean if it comes through, that's good.
That's the only way to do the parlays. These guys are on board with that. If they sent 3 or 4 parlays and they were normal teams, the only time we play parlays, literally in 25 years, is they've been money line, pretty good size favorite parlays. You're never going to have a point spread parlay from me ever. It never happened because they are suckers bets. If you're out there betting and you're going to bet parlays this weekend, you are a sucker in sports. You're going to lose sports betting. We've talked about this before. We're not going to spend a ton of time on it. We only have an hour. But understand this, that if there's one thing you hear, if you want to make money betting on sports, do not play parlays. And if you've never heard my show, we should do a thing and put it up so people could just go to the website and be educated on why parlays are such a bad bet. Here's an idea. Go to ChatGPT and put in, are parlays a good bet? It'll tell you. I'll allow you using that ChatGPT anyway for everything. Ask it while you're asking, is this girl going to be my future wife? And is this restaurant going to be the place that I can get good salami? Go ask it about parlays, about sports betting parlays, and let me. If it says anything other than it's a waste of money, then I'm not going to deal with ChatGPT anymore.
Parlays can be fun, but from a mathematical perspective, they are usually not a good bet if your goal is long-term profit.
That's the easiest way to say what I'm saying, which is you're an idiot if you're playing parlays.
Same message,
Same message,
different paths. Yeah,
different paths, which has been really consistent over the last 25 years. Heck, that's why we have you doing customer service, because we can give it a lot of ways, but not get, I'm gonna tell you how it is, and that is, don't play parlays. Mathematically, it's a horrible bet. There's 4 possible options on a 2-team parlay, which means you should get 4 to 1 if you hit it. You get 2.5 to 1.
so you're already giving away the goose.
If you can hit 50%, you're already behind the 8 ball 1.5 times what you should be getting if you can hit 50%. Most of you can't hit bet more than 50%. That's why you're betting parlays, because you know you can't hit 50%. If you knew you could hit 55 or 60% of the games, you would retire, buy a boat in Florida, and do what I do. But you can't, and it's okay, because you're great at what you're great at. But if you could, you would do what I do. You know you can't. That's why you play parlays, because you don't have to hit 50% if you win a parlay. You just have to pick the right ones to get together, and then you win. The problem with that is the math of what you're getting based on hitting 50% is horrible for you. It will break you long term, and you'll be like, well, my buddy hit an 8-teamer. Yes, he did, and then he gave it all back if he kept betting.
And he didn't tell you about the 36 that he lost before that. That didn't it. And to your point, that's a 2-team parlay. You add in a 3rd team, a 4th team, a 6th team. It is diminishing returns, diminishing probabilities of hitting that in order for you to make money. And that's just on one bet, not a long-term solution.
Yeah, it gets worse as you go up. That's the sad news. Is 2-team, the numbers we gave out just now, that's the best case. You get to 3-team, 4-team, 5-team, it's even worse. The mathematical odds of you hitting it versus what they're going to pay you when you hit it are a lot worse. That's why you're going to lose. Again, we're back at the fair. We're throwing the ring toss. We're throwing the softball in the bucket, all the things we talked about. It's more difficult than people understand, and that's why by the time we get to November, most people who bet on their own are going to have quit betting, and that's okay also. At least you're smart enough to quit betting. There's that small percentage of people that really need to not be betting all year at all, that aren't going to bet, and they're going to dig themselves a hole. And a lot of it's going to be just simply based on the fact that they're doing things the wrong way. Not that they're doing it the wrong way. So go to fatjacksports.com if you're going to bet this weekend. Get my $69 special, or get the season for about $69 every single week. Start making money and build profit. We're already doing it. 2 weeks ago, we won 6-1 in the NFL preseason. Last week, we won. Soccer added another 5 games of profit. We're building profit. If you are betting these games, build profits with us. fatjacksports.com. Get signed up today and win. All right. Prediction markets are here, Brandon. They're in Oklahoma. They're in California. They're in Texas. They're in every state, actually. Right, wrong, or indifferent. They're a little bit like a mosquito, or a good mosquito. What would be a good mosquito that's in every state, whether you like them or not? How about butterflies? They're like butterflies. They are in every state. They are spreading their wings, and you, if you're going to be betting, a lot of people are going to be, or you're going to be doing anything with these games, a lot of them, that is going to be the legal way that you can do it. Because despite what you see on TV, the reason that these companies, and by the way, it's important to point out that the exact same companies that have sports books in Kansas and in Illinois and in New York and New Jersey and all of these other states, Missouri, they also, those exact same companies have prediction markets in Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, Georgia, all of those states. So let's not for one second think that these prediction markets have any loyalty to anybody any more than the sportsbook, because they're doing what is allowed legally for them to do. So if you're in Oklahoma and you pull up FanDuel, or you pull up Kalshi, or you pull up any of these prediction markets or sportsbooks, go download the app for Kalshi or any of them, and they're going to know that you're in Texas or you're in California, and they're going to take you to the prediction market version of their app. So if you're wondering, is this legal, is it not legal, understand 100% it is legal. If it wasn't legal, they would, A, not have prediction market apps in your state, and B, more importantly, they would not be offering these exact opportunities of wagers in other states under a different app, because it's different. The legal precedent is different in those other states. So if you can get on FanDuel in Kansas and play the sportsbook, but you can get on FanDuel's prediction app in Texas, that's the same company. So you know that you're backed by the same exact funds. Kalshi, who is one of the original leaders in this, they are out in front of all this. Their numbers are actually, in a lot of cases, better than what you're getting at sportsbook. So if you have the opportunity to play a prediction market, you should absolutely download it. You should go start playing some of these predictions, which predictions are they're very similar to just picking a team and betting. So the numbers look a little bit different, but they're really not. So if you go right now to USC and San Jose State, and you put in USC, let's say, and you just bet on the 99% that it says that they're going to win, you are buying that contract for them to win, but you're getting money line odds if you do that. So if you're doing that, but that's the same as betting a money line thing. So if you're like, well, Jack, I don't know that I want to bet the money line. I want to buy a prediction market. I want to buy a contract that has the points involved. Okay, so you click on the little screen, it takes you, and you can actually buy a contract for USC or the other side, San Jose State, to lose by 38.5 points. You can bet them to lose by 41.5 points, 35.5 points. So similar to a revolving line that you can do on a sports book, you can do exactly that on these prediction markets. So I guess my point is, if you're still betting with Guido the Killer Pimp on the street corner and you're in Texas or California, Oklahoma or Georgia or wherever, you are basically taking a risk. That's one of the reasons why I don't live in Oklahoma anymore. You can't get books to pay you when you win consistently. You need to get out of that situation. And you need to get in a situation where, at the very minimum, if you sign up at fatjacksports.com, you know you're going to be able to get paid. You know you're going to be able to win. When you win, you're going to be able to get your money. And that is not going to happen with some hometown book in most situations. And if you're betting illegally offshore, what is your recourse? What are you able to do? How are you going to get your money? I bet with a couple of them overseas back in the day and won a bunch of money. And I was trying to collect $20,000, and they said, okay, no problem. We're going to get you set up to get payment. Your first payment of $500 will come in 2 weeks.
Jimmy Christmas.
What? What is happening?
I mean, the days of having to buy Bitcoin in order to bet offshore are gone.
They're gone.
With prediction markets, it's legitimized, it's regulated, and it's available. So, yeah, doing anything other than that is silly.
It's really silly, especially if you're planning on winning. If you're not just wanting to throw your money away and donate, which my clients are. So go to Kalshi, download their app, enter FatJack as your promo code. You get a sign-up bonus when you do that. So enter FatJack, sign up on the the app, and get familiar with it. It's very simple. I mean, they've been all this idiot proof, but basically the correlation between a prediction market and a sports book, they're both allowing you to buy positions on either sporting events and actually Kalshi, and the great thing about prediction markets is you can bet on the weather. If you're just a gambler and you want to bet on a lot of things that you don't know, but I will tell you, there's guys making millions of dollars. I don't know if you're on TikTok, Brandon, you see all of the apps now that show the leaderboards of the guys making the most money on some of these apps. I mean, there's guys making a couple $1 million a week.
Yeah,
on these prediction markets.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Just to see what other people are doing, and a lot of times you can see if they've opted into sharing like what they traded on, to see what they're putting money on and the weird markets that they're doing it in.
Yeah,
it's wild.
A lot of it's Bitcoin and different things that I guess these guys think they know about or whatever. But anyway, it's very interesting. It's legit. It'll get you in a position where when you win, you're going to get paid. And most importantly, if you follow my picks at fatjacksports.com, you're going to do it for as little as $69 this weekend or all year long, just by taking advantage of this deal. And then go get signed up at Kalshi and enter FatJack as your promo code. You'll get a sign-up bonus there as well. Let's talk about a little bit more about college football. We talked about USC a little bit they're probably the side this week if you're going to be betting that game, because teams that lay 37.5 points or more on a 15-1 run against the spread. So odds are they're going to do very well this week against the number. Is USC, are they ready, or you know anything? Do you even pretend to know anything about whether they've improved their defense, or are we just a wait and see on a lot of the teams like USC?
For the major conferences, I try to at least go into this weekend and especially next weekend with doing some homework and being like, okay, this guy's here now. This guy is the starter. He was the starter at Memphis last year, but now he's here, that type of thing. So I really do a lot of cramming homework wise, just so I know what the hell I'm talking about, really kind of starting next week. But yeah, I don't hold judgment on any team really until about October.
Yeah, I think that's best. Most people should take that approach. we are dialed in. We are going to have at least 2 or 3 plays this weekend in college football. We'll have a whole bunch because there's normally more in week 3 of the NFL preseason than other weeks. And so we should have a bunch of plays there as well. But for the average guy, admit if you're going to be betting, and most people are, if they're betting on sports, they're going to be betting on North Carolina TCU. And admit one thing. Yes, you have some ideas about what you think that Belichick's going to be at North Carolina or not going to be, but you know very, very little about TCU. Just admit that, because that will hopefully keep your betting down. If you're going to bet TCU minus these points, then I think it's important that you start with, I don't know anything about TCU, because that's the tough thing about week 0 is that you really don't know. And if you don't know, then it becomes more difficult to make money. So I tell people, let's start looking at trends, and then we'll go from there. We absolutely are going to be dialed in on 2 or 3 of these teams that I've been working on for months now. But unders with the North Carolina games over the last 4 as a favorite, and they're not a favorite, but they have gone under 4 times in a row. Under on neutral sites, they are 5-0. So this team over the last couple of years has been an under team. That's important to look at. Under in the last 7 neutral site games as an underdog, they're 6-1 to the under. So that fits this. So you've got 5-0 to the under and 6-1 to the under if you talk about neutral sites as an underdog. So just some general trends. Some of that goes back further than Belichick, but
some of that goes back longer than maybe some of these kids have been alive. Because
exactly.
how many neutral site games has North Carolina been an underdog in the last 20 years?
Yeah, exactly. So just some general things to look at, though. If you're thinking there's going to be a lot of points in a lot of these games, you need to look about what are these coaches trying to accomplish. We talked about Georgia last week, and we talked about Tennessee a little bit. On both of those teams having very distinct approaches to these early season games with their big favorites. Georgia, not any good as a big favorite. If you're wanting to bet on the dogs, you do not want to bet on this week, most likely. And again, all of these things, trends are obviously made to be broken, and things change. But Kirby Smart is a 38-point favorite or more, is 0-15-1 against the spread. So he does not cover as a 38-point favorite or more, which is most of the time, almost all of the time in these early season games. They're a 46-point favorite against Tennessee State coming up. But if you're going to play that game, hold your nose and go bet Tennessee State. You don't want to be the first win in the last 16 tries that Kirby Smart has had against the spread when playing a horrible team. So you take all those points, you understand nobody else can go up and bet them, and you have enough courage and, frankly, bet low enough amount to where it's not going to kill you if they win 100-0.
Yeah.
Right,
it does concern me. It doesn't concern me that Kirby Smart coach teams don't perform well in that big number. I would be more concerned if my coach was 15-0-1 in that, because that tells me that he's aware of the line.
Well, I'm going to give you one that's pretty good at it. Yeah, Josh Heupel.
Yeah.
Josh Heupel's very good in exactly those spots. And I don't know that with Heupel, and I try to stay away from, like, Lane Kiffin is one that he's kind of become the poster child of, we know he knows what the numbers are. We know that he will do things that are
relevant
not right
to the number.
Yeah. Actually, Franklin, too, when he was at Penn State, he had 3 or 4 in the last year or so that were head scratchers and only going to benefit people betting on the games in a state like Pennsylvania, where people are betting on
where sports betting is legal up until
and a lot of people doing it.
Yeah,
exactly. So, but Josh Heupel's not that way. Josh Heupel's actually a very religious guy, very Christian-driven man, not a gambler, doesn't care about that. But his teams perform really well in spots exactly like that. So they play Furman this year in their opening game. They're 48.5-point favorite or so. And you're like, half 100 is a lot to give, Brandon, to anybody. But if you have a team that has a coach that is an offensive mind, that he can coach quarterbacks no matter who they put under center, and that his offense is very complicated to any team, more or less a team that has inferior talent, that's going to really help you cover those big numbers. And if you look at the last few years, he's done exactly that. Last year they played East Tennessee State. They won 72-17. And they were up about 48-0 at half. So this is last year we were sweating backups about 5 different times with Texas Tech and with Tennessee, and they were covering their numbers by halftime in most of those games. It's just, how's the third team going to look against Furman starters that are tired and hot and sweaty and all that, and not in game shape? And they end up getting there. Last year, in 2025, like I said, they won 72-17. In 2024, they beat Tennessee Chattanooga 69-3, and they beat Kent State 71-0. So there are 2 games of these type of lines in 2024. They won 140-3. Point is that Josh Heupel, although doesn't care about the number, does care about his offense clicking and clicking and clicking. If the backup quarterback and these backup offensive linemen and receivers come in, which he does put them in later than a lot of teams, they are also going to be asked to run the exact same offensive system because he knows at some point they may be in the game because of injuries or whatever. And so they're not taking their foot off the gas. They're going to continue throwing it on first down. So all those things.
I mean, he's starting a quarterback, his third different starting quarterback in 3 years. I would imagine he wants to get him out there, get him in game reps, get him in a flow before they get into SEC play. So it makes sense that a big number like that would not even be in question.
And we don't even have to imagine it because we've seen him do exactly this
with
with
the last 2 years.
Yeah, with the last 2 years. He has not had a veteran, quote unquote veteran. Remember the whole thing? The kid went to UCLA and they trapped. He didn't know what he's getting there. They went out and beat 170, put 72 on Eastern Tennessee State. So they're going to score a bunch of points, and they're not going to give up a lot. They've got the new defensive coordinator coming from Penn State, so that guy is the real deal. He is good. They are going to play better defensively. And against Furman, even if they're not better defensively, they're going to hold them down, and he's not going to allow any point. You talk about culture. You talk about climate. You talk about getting things done in your locker room, and sometimes you can take advantage of those situations betting. So that's all I'm saying is know what you're looking at. We go Kirby Smart on one side of the spectrum, Josh Heupel on the other. Those are as important to look at, a little bit like NFL preseason, early in the year. Know what you're getting from a culture standpoint, from a coach's standpoint, from a motivational standpoint. It'll make you money. FatJackSports.com, $69. If you don't want to go through all this, at least this weekend, go sign up for $69. It'll get you in the system. You get the picks emailed to you. They're on a private portal. You're not paying, or you're not talking to anybody. There's no upsells. Most importantly, which we haven't said, you're going to 2 things. You're going to get a recommended betting guide that's going to tell you how to bet, how much to bet on each game versus other sports. So what we do with football versus what we do with basketball, baseball, soccer, UFC, all those things are broke down on what amount of your bankroll you should be betting on each of these games, each of these sports. And then more importantly, you get the exact same picks, no matter whether you sign up for the year, the season, or you sign up for this weekend $69 special. If you're getting football picks, you're getting all the picks. You're getting the best picks. You're never going to get anybody calling you back or saying, hey, this is so-and-so with Fat Jack Sports. I've got an inside whatever lock of the century. The information just came across my desk. All these things that you may have dealt with in the past or heard about in the past, they simply don't exist with me and with Brandon.
If you bet $50 a game, you bet $5,000 a game. You're getting in the same place.
Same exact picks.
That is not something that happens in other avenues of the sports betting sphere.
It does not. We have people reach out all the time and say, I want to talk to somebody about your service. That tells me that you've talked to too many people about too many services.
Or you've been burned by other services.
You have been burned by them, for sure, because if you've talked to anybody, there's nobody in my world that does this successfully that calls anybody. Not one company. People that do what I do and are successful at it don't have to call anybody. Because essentially we're just gamblers that are good at this. We're good at
sharing the information that we have.
Giving exactly the same picks by a text or by an email on a private portal that I'm personally betting. That's what you're getting. That's the model. It's not just me. There's 6 or 7 of us that are very good at this. There's a lot more people that, not a lot more, but there's more people that win money betting on sports, but you can't get their picks at all no matter what. I started this service because I didn't understand why, and I'm not just the only one, there are other people, why I couldn't bet these games myself and allow other people to benefit from these exact picks, what they couldn't win as well. And so that's what I did. I just pass along the picks that I'm personally betting. Brandon and hundreds of people around the world and every state, all 50 states, get these picks. Thousands of people around the country get these exact picks. They bet them at their wager amount, the amount that they feel comfortable with. They follow the system, and some of them have been with me for 30 years, 25 years plus, guys getting these picks every year, making money, doing better betting on sports than they would be doing on their own. So this, if you're getting this for the first time, like they say, consider this your sign to go get signed up at FatJackSports.com and make this season different.
Back out to Allen. Before the ball is tipped or a shot is even taken, before the crowd explodes or history is made.
If you're going to bet, have a game plan. Bet legally, set limits, and keep it fun.
gambling becomes a problem?
Visit responsibleplay.org to find help.
We're going to make this a rapid fire segment I'm going to give away 2 NFL player props. I'm going to give away a season win total, and then we're going to get out of here and go make some money in week 0 and in the NFL preseason and much more, because everything that I turn to look is going to take 10 minutes for me to talk through. And we were talking off the air. If you want to, Kelce has great things for so many different things. We were looking at the whole Cleveland situation off the air and Watson being named the starter versus Shadir Sanders. And I asked Brandon, I said, can you bet on who's going to be the starter in October 1st or October 31st or whatever? And we're drilling down on that. But if you're going to be able to find that, Kelce is going to be the place. So these prediction market apps, they have all of that stuff. They're able to do stuff that actually the sports books can't do. And that is worth a flyer. If you can find it, Shadir Sanders is going to be the starter by Halloween, not a day later, almost 100%. I mean, so if you can bet that at plus money, that would be my first free opportunity to buy a contract over there at Kelce. Enter FatJack as your promo code for sure. But that's going to happen. This is all about money. This has nothing to do with winning. Todd Monken's a sellout. And I'm sure he's listened to the ownership, but he is. I mean, this whole thing's ridiculous. Watson is not the best option for them. It's not even close. And they got to let him hang himself do something to dig himself a hole to put himself into so that when they go to Sanders, everybody will understand, including from management on down, they've got to get rid of this guy. But that's what's going on there. All right, here we go. Jalen Hurts under 7.5 touchdowns this year, Brandon. The tush push, not dead, but it is dying. It's dying quickly. Since Kelce left, their success rate with the tush push has dropped in half the last 3 years. Combine that with the fact that, and we start with the tush push because that's where Jalen Hurts' touchdowns come from. He is not a running quarterback from his days at Alabama and Oklahoma. He likes to set the pocket. He'll throw it away. He'll run out of bounds, those type things. His touchdowns come from inside the red zone on the tush push mainly. That is not working anymore. Down to about a 25% hit rate over this last year. And that's a combination of their center play. And more importantly, the officials have made it a point of emphasis to make sure there's no lining up in the neutrals, lining up offsides, the different things that Philly was doing to get an advantage in this. Now it's a point of emphasis from the line judges. They're calling those things. So it's more fair of a play. Combine that with the fact that all these D coordinators have had another year to figure out how to defense it. That's why the numbers are going down. The minute that they see it's not hitting at that same rate, you won't see it as much. You'll see Barkley getting it inside the 5-yard line, because the one thing everybody can agree on is anytime you run that play, you're putting your quarterback in harm's way. That's not something they're going to want to keep doing. Under 7.5 touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. David Montgomery over 7.5 touchdowns. I think we talked about this a little bit last week. David Montgomery was at Houston. He was at Detroit. Now he's at Houston. He is a short yardage back. Houston was woeful inside the 5-yard line last year. They ran it with Woody Marks, who's a good running back, but not somebody that's going to get you those yards inside the 5. Houston had 23 rushing attempts last year from inside the 5-yard line. They ran for a total of 6 yards. Turn the page. GM goes out. He picks up David Montgomery specifically for this part of their team. He's going to get a ton of touches inside the 5. His touchdowns also over or under 7.5. We're going to go over 7.5 for his touchdowns. Lastly, the New England Patriots will take a step back this year. So we are going to bet them under their season win total. They won every single game on the road last year. They went from 3-14 2 years in a row to 14-3. The number's 10.5. I'd bet it under 10.5. I'd bet it under 9.5. They're not going 8-0 on the road. Their coach can't go home after practice instead of just soaking into a hot tub with reporters. He's got problems. They've got problems. Also, the loser in the Super Bowl, there was about a decade in there that we could make easiest money in the world was betting them not to make the playoffs the following year. That's reversed a little bit, but the point's still the same. Your schedule gets super, super tough when you, in the NFL, when you go through a season, you make it all the way to the Super Bowl, win your conference. Expect regression out of New England this year. We're going to go under 10.5 with them. $69 deal. FatJackSports.com, everything through Monday. College football plays, NFL preseason plays, baseball plays. Add the soccer now. Get signed up today if you want to make money. FatJackSports.com. The whole year costs less than that per week when you sign up for the season, and you're going to be able to profit. Brandon, any last thoughts?
I used a bunch of free bets to try and find futures to hedge on in the playoffs. I have the entire NFC South at 55-1 or better. to win the Super Bowl, somebody in that group is going to go into the playoffs on a free bet for me. That's going to make me money.
55-1. Let's do it. I mean, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of things you can take advantage of now. And these are for guys that are on the soccer and on the UFC and on the free bet and have built lots of profit.
Yeah.
Playing with profit, know how to work a free bet. If you're that guy, absolutely, that's a great deal. If you're not, don't go fire your whole bankroll on the NFC South to win the Super Bowl. It's probably not the best place to start. But if that's all you're going to do, it's not the worst place to start either. So lots of ways to make money by listening to this show. Thank you guys all for tuning in this week. Wager responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Until next week. For Brandon the Fat Jack, enjoy week 0. This has been the Fat Jack Sports Hour.